Hey there, soccer freaks. This is ATL On Fire, the podcast where we talk all things Atlanta United Football Club. So sit back, buckle up, enjoy. BarcoLazo. What did you think of that goal?
Golazo. I mean, geez, he just had a cannon, right? And
Yeah.
The thing that I think we even mentioned before, right? Barco in previous seasons has come flying out of the gate and looked great right from the beginning. Unfortunately, he's been unable to sustain that. The question is whether it's because he can't sustain it over time, or because of, in a lot of cases, he's had excuses. He went on international duty in Argentina, he got hurt, blah, 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 blah. And so the question is sustainability, but, in the early going, he's looked very strong.
Yeah. And, so obviously an amazing goal. You're not going to get those very often. So I'm going to say it's high quality, just the way that he hit it. You could say it's a little lucky, all of the above. You make your own luck.
Start with the free kick was not so great, and it just it hit the wall, right? But then he got the rebound and smashed it, right?
But unlike P.T. Martinez, who would have sailed it over the bar, Barco's free kicks go on frame or into the wall in that case, which would have been on frame, right? And then you make your own luck from there, right? So that's what I hated about PT's free kicks after the 13th one that was so close but never went in. Barco,
over the top. Yeah.
But if you watch some of Barco's free kicks this year, I can't recall one that sailed over the bar or wasn't on frame, right? So keep watching that, because to me, that's a really important sign of a good person taking your free kicks. Is a lot can happen as long as the ball is put on frame or is in the mix. So
maybe just not strong enough to kick it over the goal.
Yeah, maybe.
Little guy.
No, I've seen enough. That guy can put the Messi magic on it, I think, if he's given the chance. And, the second one I would call total luck. Jake Mulroney, looked beautiful, but you're never going to see that ever again, and nor is he in his dreams. And you had Hyman clean up the rebound off the keeper there. But it was all about, again, I think in that game, you started to see sustained pressure with the system that Heinze has set up. And that was the first game you started to see the ball recycle with purpose. And that's when those moments started to, get Jürgen Damm in the corner, cutting it back and all of that happening. So I don't know. And then the other one, again, Moreno, I think whipped in a cross, and I think it ended up being an own goal at the end of the day, the third one. And I don't recall the goal against us too well. Do you? In the Chicago game? I don't even remember how that went down.
No, I don't really. I mean, we were so in control that I don't really remember that goal that much. But, it's interesting when we talked in the previous podcast, and you were arguing against, and I kind of talked you down. And I said, the thing you got to notice is that when the ball turns over and the other team is trying to clear out of their back, and they play that first ball and the camera first pans, and you kind of, unfortunately, when you're not watching it live and you're watching on TV, you can't really see what's going on there until the camera pans. And live, you can see that, of course, going on, which is why I like to go to the stadium. But, when the camera pans and it goes, and there's a guy coming to the ball, checking to the ball, and there's a defender fighting him tooth and nail for that, that's a great sign. And that's what I was telling you. And you saw it in that game. That happened over and over and over, and Chicago couldn't get out.
Yeah, Sosa particularly has been a guy who's been hard-nosed in that, center part of the midfield, where he's just coming up and stepping and putting pressure. And then, you probably aren't paying attention to Hyman very much, but he's doing much of the same work that goes unappreciated off the ball.
Well, one of the things about Sosa is that, and if you're an American soccer fan or a kid trying to play soccer who's listening to the podcast, your podcast listener, one of the things you should watch, right? So not only does Sosa is sometimes the guy who's fighting for that ball and identifying the most dangerous guy and getting it, but what's amazing is that he's often not that person. Sometimes it's Miles Robinson coming out of the back. Sometimes it was, you know, whoever else. But what's remarkable about his reading of the game is that when those guys step up aggressively to try to win the ball, he slips in behind them. You know, so many times when somebody is able to make a spectacular turn and get out of that pressure, you see Sosa just take it right off their feet, right? Because he's looking for that second ball. He knows the vulnerability. He's seeing it in behind.
Yeah.
Even as a defensive midfielder, he's aggressive a lot of times, but when he's not aggressive, he's reading off and moving behind those other players. And I'm not even talking about when we play out of the back and he goes back sometimes to cover. I'm really talking about in a normal flow of the game when the ball just turns over. There are times when somebody plays the ball past him. Miles Robinson is running up with the guy and is really aggressive, and he just slips into these vulnerable spots. You see it over and over again, and that is magic.
Yeah. Yeah, particularly the first 3 games up until last night, I would say he's been really rock solid. Yeah, anything you want to talk about more on the Chicago game?
No, I mean, I think, you know, that's the sign of what's to come, right? That when you get it right and you have those players marked up out of the back and you can monopolize possession and win the ball in the other opponent's half, you can create good chances and, you know, you can score goals. And, you know, it's interesting, you know, unlike Stephen Glass, you know, last year, who was saying, oh, we're going to score more goals because I'm giving them much more freedom. You know, the way in the modern game you score more goals is really to win more balls going forward in midfield.
Yeah.